Hey y'all, Noni here. Welcome to my channel. I'm gonna skip all the usual ploop-de-ploops or whatever. I've been trying for the last 4 days or whatnot since my last video to make a video regarding everything that's going on in aftermath of George Floyd. And I never completed any of those. I trashed them all because I felt like none of them were good enough. But I suspect that I'm never going to feel like any of them are good enough, because there's nothing that you can ever say about a situation like this that I think that's going to make it sound, better, or make it feel better, But I do want to just make it clear on where I stand with things, in terms of where I stand, literally. And I stand with the Black community. I stand with Black Lives Matter. I stand with any of the marginalized communities that we have here in our own country, which is sad to say that we still, in 2020, are having issues with race. I just don't understand it. It's like, why hasn't this been squashed already? This to me is something that easily could have been squashed 100 years ago by people just not being stupid. Just stop being stupid. But I guess we're just gonna keep having a butt ton of stupid people and being born into our country. So, but before my goal was, when I set out to do this, was to make videos every day, but I didn't want to make another video before I addressed the George Floyd situation and said my piece and about where I'm coming from and where I stand on it. I'm definitely an ally to the Black community, trans community, LGBTQ community, the chronically ill community, mentally ill community, the impoverished communities, any community out there of people that need to be lifted up. You know what I mean? I'm not a Christian, but I do believe in a higher power. And so I believe that our whole purpose on earth here is to lift each other up. You know what I mean? And give a helping hand. And sometimes there's not a whole lot that others can give in terms of, donations or whatnot, or even, time. Especially now with the pandemic and everyone losing their jobs and all that stuff. But we don't have to be with each other to send messages out to the Black community that say, hey, we're with you, we see you, we stand with you. I may not be able to understand your pain or your anger, but I can stand with you. And to all those people that are like, all lives matter, all lives matter. Obviously, all lives matter, okay? Except for pedos, which is pedophilia, pedophiles, rapists, murderers. All those people can fuck off. But all lives do matter, okay? Bottom line. But the Black Lives Matter group, it's about bringing their community together and amplifying their voices and helping them to lift each other up, okay? They're not saying, their campaign slogan isn't only Black Lives Matter. If you're not black, fuck off and die. That's not what they're saying. It's kind of like, I like to use the analogy of if you have, say, 3 men in a boat in the middle of the ocean and 2 of the men fall out. One has his life jacket on, one doesn't have a life jacket. Which guy are you going to pull into the boat first? The one without the life jacket, right? Common sense. The guy with the life jacket can sit there and bob up and down for a little bit. He's going to be fine. It doesn't mean that after you pull the guy in without the life jacket that you're going to run off and say, hey, see you later, Bob. Fuck you. You know, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you don't care about the other guy. You're just serving the person that is having more of an urgent need right now. And that is the black community. They feel marginalized. They feel unheard because they keep being murdered and nobody is doing anything about it. No change ever comes. What I think should happen is, number one, the guy that murdered and tortured, in my opinion, tortured and murdered George Floyd, Chauvin, I think. I think he needs to be charged with capital murder, period. Forget fired. I mean, obviously fired. Charged with capital murder. All of the cops watching, charged with capital murder. Not just accessories or none of that. Capital murder. They all need to be taken in to a prison system until a trial is able to happen and tried for capital murder. Because if you're standing around watching a man plead for his life, telling you, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, and you're watching him die, and then you don't even stop the guy that's murdering him. You don't say anything to him like, hey, maybe you should lift up your knee a little bit, move your knee to his back. The guy was already restrained. Okay, so that right there tells me that's suspect, right? But then you drag him off. There's no attempt at giving any kind of medical assistance whatsoever. So that tells me the intent was for him to be dead. He died. You got what you wanted. Drag him off, put him in the paddy wagon, and, you know, you're done. Thank you to the people that videoed it. I thank God that we have that technology now. Thank you for staying there and filming it, because even doing that can be dangerous, and I understand that. But so many of these cases, we wouldn't even know about them if it weren't for the brave people that were willing to stand there and say, no, I'm going to show the world what you're doing. Because I don't trust those, what is it called? I'm sorry, guys. The camera, body cams. Because you could just be like, oh, oops, I turned mine off. Oh, sorry. I do think that there are some federal laws that need to be put into place, that will hopefully help stop this bullshit real quick. And that is when you have a precinct, if you're the chief of police and your precinct has an incident of such a grievous nature as this, like, it's hands down, there's no question, he tortured or murdered this guy, chief of police fired. The trainer that was in charge of training the police officers fired. Any superior officers that are in charge of these on the street officers fired. And until you start making the higher ups, the one with the titles, until you start making them feel the pain of losing their jobs and their reputations, nothing is going to change. Because all they're going to say is, oh, oopsie, another black man dead. Oh, sorry. Oh, well. That's all they're going to say. Clearly, they don't give a shit. And I think this has to be done at the federal level, not at the state level, because you can't trust each state, especially the southern ones, to implement these very specific laws, where if you have a group of cops that fuck this shit up, then they're fucking it up for everybody, right? The higher ups. I don't want the 911 people losing their jobs. I don't want the sweet secretaries or the office managers or anybody like that losing their jobs. I'm talking about the guys in charge of the guys that are doing the murdering. Clearly, you're not communicating well enough to them that they don't know that they're not supposed to kill black people, right? And yes, I do know that sometimes, in some cases, these, there are people, black people, that are committing violent crimes or whatever, and you have to subdue them to make sure the other person that violence is being put upon, make sure they're safe, make sure you're safe, okay? I understand that. But I think we can all agree that it's over and above the top. There's so much. We've seen black men get shot in the back. Like, or like they're already restrained and somehow, like, they're restrained. They have their hands handcuffed behind their back. They can't do anything, and yet you're still beating the shit out of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's sick, man. That takes a sick fucking person to do that shit. And all you white people out there that think that white privilege doesn't exist, right here. I'll give you two. Okay. It does exist. I have white privilege every day. I enjoy white privilege every single day. Especially being older. An older white lady, I'm invisible. Nobody notices when I go into a store. I could walk around just looking at stuff. Whatever. It's, but I promise you, a black woman of the same age going into a store, they're going to be looking at her. They're going to be eyeballing her. And probably also because she's going to look younger than me. You know. Because I just look like a complete wreck. But, you know, it's just so sad that we're still here. We're still here in 2020. We're still here talking about the same bullshit. But honestly, that's it. I do not agree with looting or violent protesting in any way, shape, or form. I do know that things can be made to look a certain way on TV. I am aware of that. So, for example, you see a peaceful protest, and then the next thing you know, people are running everywhere and there's smoke bombs going off, which is tear gas, and you're like, what the fuck happened? I don't know. Interesting. What the fuck happened, huh? I don't know. Maybe the cops just came in and started fucking tear gassing everybody. Have you thought about that? And the thing is like, I'm a person of reason. I believe in reason, and being reasonable and being logical. And I know that it's not 100% of the time what we're seeing is skewed to make it look a certain way, right? I don't know, man. I'm just 50 years old and I'm white. I'm white, okay? So when I say this, I know I'm going to come off as sounding like, oh, you poor baby. But I'm so sick of it. So I can't even imagine what it is to be a black person. Now, I fear for my life for other reasons when I leave the house and I get in my car and I have to walk from the store to the car or whatever. And that's because of experiences I've had myself being a woman, an adult woman, and a child. So I can understand the fear. I can relate to the fear of it's quite possible I may not make it home, right? But once I'm in my car and I have my doors locked and I'm driving, I'm fine. I don't, you know, when the side, if and I've been pulled over several times for traffic violations or whatever. And I've never thought to myself, wow, this could be my last day on earth. But when you're black, it literally could be your last day on fucking earth. Like, you don't know. That's a lot. Like, you don't know. Do you know what I mean? Even if you do everything that they say, right? You could still end up dead. You could still end up dead. They could say, oh, he tried to run, or oh, it was just out of the camera lens, or whatever. Or you could just end up being beaten within an inch of your life, or have charges thrown against you, or have shit thrown in your car. Oh, look, a bunch of cocaine in your car. That's not mine. Oh, of course it's not mine. Oh, they all say it's not mine. I mean, we know, you know, we know the fucking stories. Like, you just never know what's going to happen when you get pulled over by a police officer. And I know that your parents are telling you to cooperate in every way that you can. And they're right when they tell you this. And I can't even imagine the fear that parents of, you know, black teenagers must feel, because when your baby goes out to pick up milk at Walmart, because you guys are out of milk, right? And he just started driving, and so he wants to go because he just started driving. And is he going to make it home alive? Like, I can relate to that as a mother worrying about my daughter going out. But again, it's for different reasons. It's not for someone like a cop that she should feel safe with. That's the thing. These are people that are sworn to protect and to serve everybody, every human soul that is presumed innocent until found guilty. They have sworn to protect. Okay? That includes black people. Okay? Anyway, that's where I stand. I just didn't want to go on with other videos on my channel without addressing that, because I don't know how long these videos will be around. They could be around, you know, for 100 years after I'm dead. You know, my family could see them, and I want them to know what side of the line I was on, because there is absolutely no question. Just stop fucking killing people that look different than you. I don't understand why that's so fucking hard. I don't get it. I just... but I do think it's important that each and every time something like this happens, that everyone that's obviously black people, but everyone that's not black, that is an ally, that is holding the hands of that community in theirs, that you speak up and you speak out and you let the world know, you let your family know, you let your friends know, you make it known in your circles where you stand. Because I don't have time to fuck with people that are so stupid that they would hate a group of people just for the color of their skin, or their identity, or their sexual preference, or... I mean, what... First of all, how is it bothering you? What fucking business is it of yours? And also, this isn't something they can choose. I didn't choose to be white. By acknowledging my white privilege, I'm not apologizing for being white. I'll never apologize for being white, because I didn't fucking choose it. I didn't. This is just how I was born. This is the last video I'm going to make about this. I'm just going to put it out there. And I hope that all of you can see my intention is that I'm sending you love and support and hugs, especially if you don't have anyone in your life to give you big grandma, mama hugs. I'm sorry that you don't have that. And if I ever run into you, I'm happy to give them to you. But just know that for right now, I'm giving that to you through this video. Because I think our whole world needs a hug right now. I do back the blue in terms of the ones that are good cops. I have friends that are cops, have been, and these friends I know would never behave in this fashion. So I do believe there are good cops. So I'm not going to sit here and pander to anyone and say, you know, cops are, you know, suck, or there's no good cops, or anything like that. I would never say that, because there are good cops. And there's bad cops, and there's good and bad people in every single group, in every single nation. But right now, the Black community needs our help. And I wish there was more I could personally do. I can't even do a protest, I mean, unless I get a wheelchair. My daughter really wanted to do one. They somehow, the protest was scheduled for 6 p.m. and of course they made the curfew 6 p.m. It was a big fucking shocker. And my daughter is definitely hurting. You know how it is when you're younger and you're just closer to everything, and you feel it more because you're closer to it and you're more involved in it, and your life is a faster pace, you know what I mean, than your parents. And she's hooked into so much more of it than I am, through Twitter, through Instagram, through Facebook, through YouTube. And I tell her she needs to take breaks, and I would suggest to all of you, be an ally, but give yourself permission to take breaks from the madness and to do something that makes you happy and brings you joy, so that you can be restored for when you're really needed. You know what I mean? It's almost my bedtime. And I felt like I've said everything I need to say. I'm just sorry that that you're still going through this, and that you don't feel seen and you don't feel heard. Because I know what that feels like, and it feels real fucking shitty. I hope things do change. I really do. Best advice I can give you is vote your asses off in 2020. Get out there and vote. No matter how dismal you think it is, no matter how much you think we can't win, that's what they're counting on. They're counting on that. So get a group of your friends together and do whatever it takes and go vote. Because I certainly am. Anyway, that's it. I will continue my regular Noni videos from here on out. I hope that there is no more vile activity, stupidity, ignorance, that causes me to have to make another one of these videos, because it hasn't been fun. Because I want to say things that are going to bring comfort, not pain, you know. So, anyway, I know it's hard, but please try to have a beautiful day tomorrow, okay? Love you much. Noni. Mwah. See you later.